most famous designers and design houses like Donatella, Versace, Christian Dior, and so much more. At present, he's a practicing user experience design, helping Fortune 500 companies and startups connect their users with important goals such as empathy, inclusivity, and diversity. At the same time, he's also taking baby steps forward to practice Krishna consciousness. My family, we've known Prabhuji for a long time, and he's lived in Cincinnati for many years. And we've got to notice his advancements in Krishna consciousness, which has led him to, have the qualifications to give lectures such as these. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Prabhuji with the Mahamantra. So if everyone can chant muted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you.
So Prabhuji, take over the call. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So can I share my screen, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen, everyone.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start with Manglacharan, and then you can all repeat after me, or you can repeat with me, basically, mute or unmute. Okay. Om Ajnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So just recently we know that we Mokshada Ekadasi passed, and as we all know that that's the day when Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. So just in relation with that, I wanted to bring the topic of Bhagavad Gita introduction. And the reason why I wanted to bring this topic is because I have seen changed in my own life, and I wanted also to share that experience with you, all of us here, and see how people from different walk of life can understand Gita the way as it is supposed to be, and it can really change the life. So with that, I would like to go to the next one, and it will be like little bit interactive. So I want also to see where you all guys stand and understand these things. So with that, this is a very famous picture in ISKCON, in any of the books that you can find, from Vishnu Puran to Bhagavad Gita to Bhagavatam. So I just wanted to ask everyone that, or two people can answer by raising their hand. I can't see right now because I've kept my screen small. So if you can see, can anyone tell me what they understand the meaning of this picture? Any two can take the chance. What do you see and what do you understand out of this image? Anyone want to give a try? Yeah, your volume is less, Mataji. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my laptop, but I don't know why. The Garbhodakshai Vishnuji is resting, and Lakshmi Ma is doing her seva. And I can also see Brahmaji sitting up there, and it shows that Brahmaji came out from the from the Nabhi. So that's what I see here.
Okay, very nice. Anything else that you can relate or something that you can talk about it?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I say?
Yes, of course.
So The Garbhodaksha Vishnu is resting on Anantashesha and in the Garbhodaka ocean.
Okay. So looks like you all are for you in pure bhakti level. The way I see the picture is like Lakshmi pressing the feet or doing a massage, feet massage to Lord Vishnu. Correct. That is how I see it when I see the first time. So the question, the way you guys are seeing it is absolutely right, but we look at from a different perspective. So just like anyone when they're doing service, correct, to like husband here, Lakshmi Devi is doing, or Lakshmi Devi is doing here. So the important concept she's telling that, this is Vishnu that is sleeping basically is the Chaturmash, that in that 4 months, he takes to this form where he goes to sleep, correct? And Lakshmi Devi is pressing the feet. So most of the time, just as a normal experience, I wanted to share. So if she's Lakshmi is pressing legs of Vishnu or giving feet massage, she's telling that why you are sleeping. Look at down to your world that you have created. People are flying everywhere. People are talking on Zoom, doing video call. There's a Facebook aa gaya hai udhar, correct? People are chit-chatting. There's Instagram, all Snapchat, everything is going. And now you even forget there's a TikTok, short videos. Everything, whatever you are seeing, look at your beautiful creation down, why you are sleeping, correct? That's the normal way normally people see. And she's asking this question. And I'm not saying because I want to say this, correct? If you see the result, it's in Padma Puran in Uttarakhand, the section of Padma Puran. She is already saying, Lakshmi is saying this same thing that I just described. O revered one, with what purpose are you sleeping in the Milky Ocean? You, like one who is neutral, having instituted glory in the world, is it where? This is a literal translation. So she is asking the way I saw the image perspective, correct? That she's pressing or giving feet massage to Vishnu. So Vishnu, by joking, is saying like, hey, for you, you must think that I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. Then Lakshmi says like, oh, why you are saying I'm pressing your, I'm doing feet massage here. I can see that you are in deep sleep, correct? It's just in the fun sake. Then just to this question of Lakshmi, Vishnu replies, which is the verse, section 7 and the verse 13. She says, "O you of a beautiful face, I'm not sleepy." So if you just see how he interacts with his wife, correct, with his consort, he does not start with his name. He starts with a beautiful characteristic describing her face or describing anything that's beautiful characteristic of her. So when we start communicating to our loved ones or communicating to any of our fellow people, and you want to win someone over them, then you have to start with what is good. Anything, a good characteristic, good quality. And I said, so you can see Vishnu is leading it by an example, correct? Oh, you, oh, of beautiful face, I'm not sleepy, with my sight turned inside and pursuing the truth. So he's basically saying that I'm constantly meditating inside. And he's saying, I see my own body of Maheshwaram. So if you see, he's talking that I'm meditating on my own body of Maheshwaram. O goddess, that which the contemplative saints see within with their sharp intellect, which produces a continuous mass of joy and which is without a second, is the immutable light of the nature of the self and unharmed, resorting to which the world subsists and which is experienced by me, and without which there is no element in the world, mobile or immobile, and having secured which Dvaipanya Vyasa Muni produced the holy text of the Gita. So he's basically giving all the characteristic of the Gita, that what he's concentrating on. After having thought in many ways, the very intelligent one churned the holy text of the Vedas. So he's telling that Vyasadeva, who was very holy, who took all these concepts of spirituality and he churned into the holy text of the Vedas. O chief goddesses, having resorted to it, a great joy, I with my mind delighted appear to be sleepy in the milky ocean. Having heard this limited delightful words of the enemy of Mura, Lakshmi with her rolling eyes, full of joy, was amazed. So basically to Lakshmi, he's telling, to you, I might be appearing as a sleepy, but I am not. I am constantly thinking on this particular text, Gita or Maheshwaram. So just wanted to give you that little interaction. So in the verse 21 to 26 of Padma Puran Uttarakhand, I, Maheshwara, the soul, am to be explained through the difference in words and meanings as through the words of the Gita. My strong bond of the nature of the objects and in the mundane's existence is completely cut off, since my two forms, Panchavarta and Maheshwara, are dependent on its study. So why I wanted to bring this image and why I wanted to read this text from Padma Puran was to set the authenticity that I'm not speaking anything out of my own vision. I'm speaking exactly what is written in Padma Puran, the scripture. So Vishnu himself is saying that for those 4 chaturmas that I'm sleeping, I'm not sleeping. Basically, I am focusing or spiritualize, meditating on the creation of the Gita itself that I have spoken. And because of that meditation, I manage the entire creation that I have done. So you can understand the importance of Gita, that Vishnu himself is meditating for 4 months of Chaturmas to maintain the balance of the creation, in the entire creation, not I'm just talking spiritual world or material, the entire creation. And because of that meditation on constantly thinking on Gita, he is able to manage the world. So now we can understand the importance of the Gita, that the God himself, Vishnu, or the Supreme Personality, is himself meditating to run this. So it is very important for us to understand this manual. Okay. So now we try to go into understanding of this. So why it is. So in Gita Mahatmya, the glories of Bhagavad Gita from the Padma Puran, from the Supreme Lord. So basically, Vishnu is himself talking to Lakshmi, what is the importance of the Gita, or what is the glorification of the Bhagavad Gita. So first qualification he's saying, or the glory, it is Evam, Advitya. So basically he's saying that there is no scripture in the world that matches to this Gita, Bhagavad Gita. It's the only one scripture. And mind you, this is not anyone writing. It is coming from Padma Puran, where Vishnu himself is answering to Lakshmi. So this is God himself talking. Okay. So it's the ultimate scripture. There is nothing coming close to it. The second characteristic he gives, or the glory, it says Ajaram. It's eternal. Okay? So we can already see that Bhagavad Gita was spoken so many years, not just 5,500 years ago. It was first spoken to sun god, Vivaswan. So you can imagine how old sun can be. So the Gita is coming from that old generation, like old time. Now you can see it's eternal. Why we can see? Even if you see from backtrack, we are still studying currently Bhagavad Gita in today's age. And not just in our Bhakti Shastri or anywhere. It is even taught in MBA, where Oxford, Harvard University have special classes on understanding Bhagavad Gita. So we can clearly see that it is eternal and it matches with what God have said. Correct? Now we can also look into contemporary world, or the world that we live in. We see a lot of movies, we see a lot of things, correct? And we see that they are not Ajaram, because it lasts like 1 month, maximum 2 weeks. And maximum, if something is good, it will last for 2 years, 3 years, and then we forget. So that is what material education is. And Bhagavad Gita is Ajaram. Then we go into, it says, the third characteristic or glory, it's Jyoti, it's knowledge. Why it is called Jyoti? Because it takes out from ignorance to the light. And that is exactly the knowledge that we are looking for. And that is another thing. So because of Gita, it's called manual of life. So we can be in any situation, in any problem, or not even problem, but let's say we are in the mode of goodness, or we have so many happy moments coming in our life. How do we balance that happy moment? Not only just pain and sorrow, but how we enjoy that. So Bhagavad Gita is like a Jyoti. It gives you knowledge and how you can balance in all status of life, not just in one process or progress of life, but through everything. So that's also in the Jyoti. Basically, it removes from darkness, from ignorance, and brings you to the level of Jyoti. Then God is saying it is like Paramatma. It's same as Bhagwan. So we know that we are Atma and within us is Paramatma. So Gita is Paramatma, is exactly same as Bhagwan. There is no difference between Gita and Bhagwan, the form that we know him as, by gun and qualities that we know him of. This is exactly the same. This is Vishnu himself talking. Then he says it is Anamayam. It is free from miseries, sorrow, and pain. So if we look into our material life, we always know that we always have some kind of pain. We always go through some kind of sorrow, whether it is material sorrow in terms of we look like kids don't get their phone, or parents take away their time on the phone, that you cannot be on time for, you can only be for 2 hours on phone and the rest. So there are small times like little miseries that come, correct? Even though it is not a misery, but people who go through this, they feel like, why this is happening to me only? So this knowledge of Gita takes you out. It is free from misery, sorrow, and pain. Then it's Anand. It's happy and blissful. So person who understands Gita as Arjun understood, then you will always be happy and blissful. It's always that. And Gita never teaches you anything that you'll have any sorrow moment. You'll always be happy and blissful. Then the seventh glory is it's akhand, means it's intact, cannot be broken. And as I said earlier, correct, it cannot be separated also, that it's been taught in schools now, though it was spoken many years and many centuries back to sun god. So if you can see, it's been intact and it's been coming out from all those ages. It's coming on. The eighth, it's Nishpat, it's flawless. So why it's flawless? Forget my knowledge, but I'm talking about lot of educated philosophers, spiritualists, schools, thinkers. They have tried to break down Gita across the globe. And nobody could ever has come to that clause and say that, oh, it is flawless. Nobody is able to find a mistake. And that is why it has been taught in universities across the globe. And it says, if you want to be a leader and you want to be there, then you have to read this book. So if you can see, God had already said at that time that it is flawless, and it's still today, nobody is able to take out anything that it says it is not matching with the theory, because it's manual for life. The next one, it means God says the glory is nirhi, it's innocent. Why it's innocent? So let's say when we get educated and we try to get 10 or 4 degrees in our education system, correct? So people say, I have bachelor's in science, I'm a doctorate, I'm a PhD, I have an MBA, they speak. So as you get your knowledge, your innocence gets lost in material education. You cannot act like a child. So here, Gita is just innocent, and at the same time, it's an educated, the highest educated. It does not lose its innocence. This is very important, because every time when people, I'm giving my own example, when I was going through a very good time in my life, I was very educated and I felt like I've studied across 3 continents in the world. And with that, the arrogance and the pride came in, and the innocence of the child that I was getting lost. Correct? So here you see, it's niri, it maintains its innocence, and it maintains its the highest form of level of education or the knowledge. And it's Dvait and Advait, it's free from duality. So we always have this concept of duality, correct? It can be like this, it cannot be like this. And particularly if we work at in corporations, we always have to play the game of duality, and the company policies are made like that. So you cannot catch them like whether it's right or wrong. It will always give you into the path of confusion, because they want to make sure that they are protected. Correct? So this is very, very important. And these are, I'm just giving like 10. There are many glories, but this is just want to understand how it goes from understanding from Vishnu, the glories of Gita. Then Gita, Vishnu is explaining to Lakshmi what is the relationship with Bhagwan and Bhagavad Gita, correct? We went through that. Fourth quality was Paramatma, same as Bhagwan. So now he's telling what is the relationship of Bhagavad Gita with Bhagwan. So he's telling chapter 1 to 5 of Bhagavad Gita is like the head of Vishnu, the 5 heads of Vishnu. Then he's talking about chapter 6 to 15, that are 10 chapters, is hands of Vishnu. And chapter 16 is the stomach of Vishnu or the God. And chapter 17 and 18 is legs of that. So if we see that in Bhagavad Gita on chapter 4 verse, Bhagwan says that how you can, if you understand his Janma Karma, which are Divya, which are transcendental, if you understand his divine pastimes and his form, then you know that you can attend to his spiritual place, Golok Vrindavan or Golok Dham. So here we can see that Bhagavad Gita is also describing the form of the Vishnu himself or the God himself. So it connects with everywhere you understand the knowledge that is being shared. So this was also very important. Now, having understand why Bhagavad Gita is so important and why it helps us in our life and the significance of Bhagavad Gita, now let's try to understand Bhagavad Gita from the beginning so we can give a little thought or ponder on that and try to understand why it is Bhagavad Gita so important. So I have one question to everyone. We always say, my phone. We always start with that, correct? My watch, my home, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my wife, my husband, my home, my car, correct? We always say like that. So what we understand from that there are two things attached, correct? It's my is one and plus phone. So there are two things when we say my phone. Now let's understand what we say. We understand that there are two things that are involved. Now when we describe ourselves, how do we describe ourselves? My body, correct? So we also understand that my phone are two things, my and phone. And when we say my body, now we understand that my and body are two things. So we know what body stands for. Then what does my stand for? Anyone wants to give a chance?
Prabhuji, can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, so we say like my phone, correct? So we know that my and phone are two different things. It's my and phone, two things. My watch, my is one and watch is two, correct?
Right.
So when we say my body is two things, my body, then what does my stand for?
Soul.
Exactly, correct? Very good. So I know it is easy. Everybody has raised answers. So I'm sure that everybody knows already. So what is my, correct? We already know that it is soul. So now let's understand the characteristics of soul. By definition, it is Sat Chit Anand. It's truth, eternal, and bliss. And body, we should understand the characteristics of the body also. Body means birth, disease, old age, and death. So now when we say my phone and my body, but if you see in practical life, we never take care of the soul. Every activity that we do in life, in current situation, it is only to the body. Our 80 to 90% of our activity, okay, if you are doing japa or, if you are doing certain activities like for Krishna consciousness, Savanam, Kirtanam, you are listening and stuff, but 90% of our activity in day is done for the body. If you understand, just like phone, the body is not ours. Do you understand? It is not belonging to us. It is separate like our phone. So that we have to understand. So now let's understand one more thing also, that the concept, okay, so we understand that. So anyone, this is important. So now we know that these are soul, my soul. So what are the two symptoms of the soul? How can you say that it is a soul? Or what is the definition of the soul? What are the two symptoms that can say that the soul is present? Yes, go ahead, anyone. We'll stop only at 2 participants in respect of time. Go ahead, anyone.
We are part and parcel of Bhagwan.
Okay, but that is not the symptom of the soul. Like, how can I say symptom? Like if I pinch you, correct? You feel the pain. So you know that there is something. So how can we say that soul exists? Correct, in a person. Part and parcel does not describe the characteristics of the soul. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, no, it's okay. Good try. Anyone else?
Prabhuji, does it mean it's Satchit Ananda?
No,
Like it's
that is the
eternal?
soul, correct? That is the character. That's the quality of the soul. It is Sat Chit Anand. Like body's quality is what? Birth, disease,
Hare
old
Krishna,
age, and death. Yes, go ahead.
Are the
Movement, you said?
once the movement of the body is the symptom of the soul, because if there's movement, that means the body is dead. So what movement we have inside our body is the soul. It's happening because of the soul is alive.
Okay. Okay, let's go to one more. Very nice. You are very close, but I'm looking for word, correct? If I'm not putting it into a sentence, I'm trying to understand by a word, but you are almost there. So let's try one more person.
Is it our consciousness, Prabhuji?
Absolutely right. Who was that?
I'm Indrani from Delaware. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, you are absolutely right. So the first characteristics of is consciousness, like Mataji said, movement, correct? So movement or pinch or pain that you can feel means you're conscious that your body is there, correct? So that is the first symptom of the soul. If a body is dead, if you pinch, you slap, nothing will happen. But if I slap anyone, automatically someone will try to defend it, correct? Means you are conscious, you are alive, you are reacting to it. That is consciousness. So that's the first symptom. Now, what is the second symptom? There are two symptoms of the soul. Anyone want to give a try?
नीलम माता जी आप अनम्यूट करो.
Is breathing?
No. Good try, but yeah, not there yet.
Maybe our thoughts.
No. Okay, so we'll go. Okay, there is Hina who has raised her hand. Go there. We'll stop there with Hina. Go ahead, Hina.
Emotions?
No. So now we understand, correct, why I wanted to start with introduction. We have all this thought, but we don't understand the real definition. And I went through this in my personal experience, and I wanted to start from basic so that we all can relate to each other and understand the concept of Bhagavad Gita. Because if we don't understand, reading and going through Bhagavad Gita will not come to our perfect knowledge, because this is the most important definition, right? It's growth. So if you are alive, your hair will grow, your nails will grow, you will change your body from boy, young child to middle age to old age, correct? The growth is the symptom. If the body is dead, nothing will grow. Are you with me, everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Correct. So this is the two symptoms. One is the consciousness that's there in our each and every body. The minute body is dead, consciousness is gone. And the second, how we know the soul is present, it's growth. Now let's understand every living entity, animals to tree. Do you agree that it has consciousness and growth?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Right. So now we understand that we cannot harm any living entity because they are part and parcel of Krishna. So even when we pluck Tulsi leaf to offer to Krishna, we are hurting Tulsi leaf because it's conscious. Correct. So we have mantra for it. We make sure that we are offering to Krishna. So this is the way we have to understand how other living entities, because anything that is conscious and growing means it is feeling pain. So now if we cut a tree in today's world of deforestation, we feel, oh, it is just tree and we are building houses, but we are not. We are hurting them actually, because they are growing, means they have consciousness. The only thing is that they cannot speak to us. So now here the important thing that I showed you in earlier slide was my phone, my body, correct? So what happens to the phone after 4 years or 5 years? We recycle them, correct? Because they are no use, the technology is outdated. So but we understand that, oh, recycle is a new concept. But Krishna had already brought this recycle concept through rebirth, correct? Exactly when our body gets old and it is of no use, it becomes recycled. The soul goes to the new body. The recycle concept. So recycle is not a new concept. It's been existing for a long time. As soon as the soul sees that the body is of no use, it will move to another soul, another body. It will take another body and the soul will take. Just exactly like we don't use the phone or outdated technology. We put it in recycle. That's the exactly way the soul does it. So it's not a new concept. Now we understood soul. Let us try to understand the differentiation between animals and humans. So 4 things that animal does. One is eat, and human also does the same. Sleep. They also sleep, we also sleep. They procreate, they have children, we also have children. And once we have children, we defend them. These are 4 activities that animal does and exactly what human does. So if you think in our daily life, if this is what we are doing, then we are just no different than an animal, or we can call ourselves sophisticated animal. So the question comes, how a human is differentiated between an animal? This is what we do every time: eat, sleep, procreate, defend. And this is what animal does also. So now the question comes, what is the difference between humans, correct? It is Ato Brahma Jigyasa, means now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth, because we understood through consciousness and growth that even animal has. So the only difference that human has is the power to think and the power to express that thinking through speech. So now is our time to inquire. And if you don't, then you are just called a sophisticated animal. There is no difference between an animal and a human till you come. So now when you time to inquire about Bhagavad Gita, or like you want to understand absolute truth, then you want to understand absolute truth. Now the question comes in our educated people who are educated like us with understanding what is right or wrong at material level. Then you want to say, who do I have to listen, or who do I inquire about the absolute truth from? Okay. So we want to learn this absolute truth from none other than the Supreme Lord himself. So how do we define Supreme Lord? So learn from the Supreme Lord about the ultimate truth. And then who is Supreme Lord? The Supreme Lord is all strength. Now, how can we say all strength that is Supreme Lord? So we have to understand that Krishna in his pastime, at the age of 7, he lifts Govardhan hill in his last pinky finger. So I have not seen a cross or any strength heard in history that a 7-year-old boy can lift entire mountain on his pinky finger for 7 days. So you can understand all strength that is there. Then all fame. We are hearing Krishna's glories even till today. It means he is already famous. Then all wealth. He is already having wealth. How many wives he had? Correct? He did not do a job. We have never heard that Krishna went for a job 9 to 6. We have never heard Krishna asking money from anyone that I can't maintain my family. I need your wealth. So he made all palaces in gold and in all precious jewel for each and every wife. So he was already all wealthy. Then all knowledge. We are already learning Bhagavad Gita, which he spoke. So, and as we heard from him, it's flawless. And till today, no one is able to consider or find a fault in it. So he's already all knowledgeable. Then the fifth, all beauty. We talk about Krishna's beauty all the time. And then sixth, all renunciation. So he has renunciation quality also in it. So now I'll give a little stark example of this, like why we can say he renounced everything, or he was the ultimate epitome of renunciation. So if you understand Srimad Bhagavatam, he's having a Ras Leela with gopis. So if you hear all the concept of Ras Leela, but there you see that there is not a physical intimacy. So being along with all the gopis, that is called all renunciation. The thought of intimacy was not there, the physical intimacy. So having surrounded by all the gopis, that is why it is called all renunciation. So now it is not that one of these characteristics was with him. When any person who has all six characteristics, then he is called the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord has all the six in unlimited quantity. So that is why we have to learn from the Supreme Lord. And the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by himself. So we need to go through that, correct? So we follow Sadhu Shastra and Acharya to go into that kind of learning of Supreme Lord. Then why we say we have to learn from Supreme Lord? Because we are humans, correct? So there are 4 defects of humans. Can anyone want to give a try? What are those 4 defects?
It will be not as is, as is.
Okay, good one. Anyone else? There are 4. So you attempted 1, which you are close to what you said. Go ahead, Mihika.
Tendency to cheat.
Perfect. Okay.
Prabhuji, we make a lot of mistakes.
Very nice. Okay, so we are almost to 3. Okay, Anu. Anyone else?
Greed, jealousy, like the negative tendencies.
Okay, so you all said it, but I'll put it into the right phrases. Okay, so it's first, to err is a human, correct? We say that in Western philosophy, it's a very common saying, to err is human, to commit mistake. So why I'm bringing this, you have to, I'll tell you afterwards. To be under illusion, we are always under illusion because our senses, what you said, like greed and things, we don't know why we are under illusion, because we already know, we understood through soul, correct? We are always thinking in terms of body, but we are not thinking in terms of soul, which is our real personality, because we went through that, my body. So we are always under illusion of a body, not our real personality, which is the soul. Third, even if we are under illusion, we have propensity to cheat others. And the fourth is imperfect senses. We can't see perfect. We can't understand perfect. Our knowledge is not perfect. Our senses are not perfect. Our taste is not perfect. If the light, it is pitch dark, we can't see. Correct? So that's the first sign of our imperfect senses. And then we come and say, I want to see God. First, we have to ask, how can you see God when our senses are imperfect? We can't see at night. How can you see God? Correct? So if you see in the Western philosophy, a Darwin theory comes or any other philosophy comes, next time another scientist will come or another philosopher will come and will change his theory and says, I have a better theory. Why? Because of this 4 defect. Anything that we learn from them is always going to be mistake, because we all have these 4 defects. And because of this 4 defect, any philosophy that you learn, either from Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or Bill Gates, it is going to have these 4 characteristics and they will be wrong. So we don't need to be listening to them. We need to learn from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's Krishna. Correct? Because any human being who's going to speak will have these 4 defects. And because of that, we don't need to learn from that. So now, as we know, in our work culture that who are working in US or who are working in corporate world, we know that they all speak about inclusive, diversity, equity, equal, we are equal to everyone, we have empathy. But in reality, we know that it is all superficial. They all talk, but in practice, it does not happen in corporation. But do you know that it is nothing new or Western concept? It was already presented by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So how does he say this? So Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. It does not speak, it is for Hindu. There is nothing word called religion in Bhagavad Gita about Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, etc. So you can see it is inclusive, correct? And I'll go or diverse in terms of, it does not say it can be read or heard by only man, woman, boy, or a girl, or a children. It can be anyone. It can be for educated people who have multiple degrees or who are considering them himself as a PhD or doctorate. Even they can study Bhagavad Gita. And person who is uneducated, he can also study Bhagavad Gita. Then those who believe in God and those who do not believe in God can study Bhagavad Gita. Those who only want to work as their goal, that I only want to work and that is the only knowledge I believe in and that's the only thing I practice, then Bhagavad Gita, like they say, mehnat ka paisa, work, hard work pays, correct? America says you are rewarded for your hard work. So if that is there, then Bhagavad Gita is also for them. And then those who believe in knowledge, that I don't believe in work, I don't believe in all this God and all these things, but I only believe in science or the knowledge of education. And it's only this, then Bhagavad Gita also addresses that issue in Bhagavad Gita. So let's understand that you can see how inclusive, how diverse, how equal, and how empathy Bhagavad Gita is. It covers entire thing of it is. So, and it's not superficial because it talks about it. So now I'll go through that. So chapter 1 to chapter 5, it talks how to achieve bhakti through one's work, means karma yoga. So people who are interested just in work and how they can achieve perfection through work, it chapter 1 to chapter 5 addresses that. Chapter 6 to 12 addresses the person who wants to believe in God, who's believer of God, and he wants to progress understanding God. And he wants to progress further, that we call Bhakti Yoga. So Lord Krishna describes an entire thing of Bhakti Yoga between chapter 6 to chapter 12. And from chapter 13 to 18, Bhagavad Gita also shows that how to achieve Bhakti or perfection of God through knowledge, Jnana Yoga. So you can see it's completely inclusive, diverse, it's equal. It's not treating anyone that, oh, you just do Karma Yoga, you are not entitled to learn Bhagavad Gita. No, he's addressing everything. Okay, so now I'll take you through that entire yoga ladder. And it starts from the bottom down to up. So first he talks about animal life, which is unrestricted sense gratification. And we went through that, correct? Animal does 4 things I explained. So that is animal life. And if you just continue doing that, unrestricted sense gratification, then we are at the stage of animal life, which does not even come to the close of knowing God. Then he talks about karma kanda, means person regulated sense gratification, that I want to do based work on knowing that I am good. I am only doing good work and I'm not hurting anyone. Is doing based on that. Then he's talking about regulated sense gratification. Then he's talking about Sakama Karma Yoga. Fruits of work, fame for material enjoyment, karmis. So what he's talking about, that I want to work like Elon Musk. I want to be famous. I want to change the world. So they are working for the fruits of work, fame or material enjoyment of the money, the success that they get. So he's talking about this also in Bhagavad Gita. Then he's talking about Nishkama Yoga. So no desires for personal interest. So there are a lot of brahmacharis, lot of devotees living in grahastha ashram who work, who don't desire for things for personal interest, because they understand and they want to work, but they want to spend most of the time and money for, not for personal interest, but for the preaching Krishna movement, Krishna consciousness. So, or any other thing, but they are at the level that I don't desire for personal interest. Then he's talking about Jnana Yoga. Means I just want to get degrees and degrees of knowledge and having PhD and doctorate, but I don't want to work. I just want to get knowledge and I want to be a philosopher. So he's addressing that also in Bhagavad Gita, just accumulating knowledge, and they are called Gyanis. Okay. Then he's talking about Ashtanga Yoga. So we already know Ashtanga Yoga. It's so popular. Everyone is doing physical yoga, yoga asanas and stuff. So he's talking about that. If you attain perfection in Ashtanga Yoga, so he starts with the bottom level of yoga to the highest. And if you attain the highest level of all those, Asht means 8. So there are 8 steps to achieve perfection in yoga. And when you achieve those 8 steps, Asht means you will achieve mystic powers of yogis. And then last, those who believe in God, correct? He's talking about Bhakti Yoga. So in Bhakti Yoga and in all of this ladder of Bhakti Yoga, correct? So he's talking about, sorry, let me go through that. So last is Bhakti Yoga. So in Bhakti Yoga and from animal life, in between, he's giving every information about people who don't believe in God. So there is information of that, but it does not fall in any yoga. It falls in Mayavadi philosophy. So that is why it does not fall in yoga. And that is why I have not put it here. So everyone, so you can see how inclusive it is. So let's say a person says, oh, I only want to study work life. Then Karma Kanda is for them. And person says, I want to work, but I want to get fame. So he talks about that also in Sakama Karma Yoga. And person says, I want to work, but I don't want to enjoy the fruits. If person is of that level of understanding, then it describes in Nishkama Yoga. And then there is a person says, I don't believe in work, but I just want to get knowledge. Gives an entire definition about knowledge, how knowledge, through knowledge, you can come to the level of bhakti or understanding spiritual knowledge. And people who do not want to fall into this, but believe in austerity and doing yoga, doing physical exercises for body and going through pain of austerity of body, then he talks about it. And then he talks about Bhakti Yoga, that how a person who is dedicated in service of knowing God and serving God, he gives and complete. So you can see from here that he is giving entire, so we can understand how inclusive. It's not just talking about like superficial, like we have in today's world. And then now we understand, like with this image, what it does is, if you see this, it is a motor vehicle law and it says Digest of Ohio. So what does this image convey basically? So what it shows that study the Ohio driving manual and get ready to pass your driver's license, permit or renewal test. So for example, if a person is moving to a state of Ohio, like I moved from New York to Ohio. So I cannot drive, I cannot have my license valid if I stay for longer in more than 6 months in Ohio. So for me, I need to read this book. I need to pass the laws on an exam for this book. And then I have to give a driving test and then I will get my driving license. So this is what the understanding, that there is a book, there is an authority, and based on that authority, I can enjoy the fruits of that action. That is the concept. Now we understand the concept of GMAT. So there is a GMAT and then you pass these exams, correct? So what happens? There is a GMAT, you give an exam, you pass, and then with that score, you can go and register for higher educations like MBA or further studies that you want to do. That is getting into business colleges. And then this is for people like business, like Bhavgrahi Prabhu, correct? He wants to do business. So for him, for his business, he needs to have a certificate of Ohio. Then only he can do the business. So what does these 3 images confirm? That there is the authority, there is either books or certificate of that authority to understand their rules. Like I gave you GMAT or the Ohio book. And once you pass that, then you can enjoy the results or practice in the domain of that authority. So if I can get my driving license of Ohio, I can prove that I'm a valid driver and I have my valid residency in Ohio. And let's say for a person who passed the GMAT, for him, the result is he gets the admission in higher business colleges. And for a certificate of business, they can start running and practice their business. So they can do officially run the business, pay taxes. So this is 3 things that we understand from this image. Now, if you understand between this image of understanding, we understand that what we do, we don't use our intelligence to challenge above respective authorities. We just follow and surrender to them completely, so we can move on to next things in our phase of life. Agree or disagree, everyone?
Agree, Prabhuji.
Agree? We
Completely,
never
completely.
question this,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Okay, so let's move. Then when it comes to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, why we use our intelligence to challenge the subject authority or doubt? Why the hesitance, hichkicha, to accept the instruction of Krishna? Correct? Why? Because if you see from the same three examples, the authority here is the Krishna, the Supreme Lord. The books or certificate of that authority is Bhagavad Gita. And the result or practice in the domain of that authority is that the result is we will be free from birth and death of cycle. Why? Because we understand our original personality is soul, not the body. So if we stay in the form of body, we'll continue with the cycle of birth and death. And here, if we understand Bhagavad Gita, then we are free from that and we'll be attained to our original form, which is our soul, the my part of the body. And practice will be in Krishna, bhakti, love. Correct? So this is what we have to understand. Then we have to understand like how the authority, correct? We understand that driving license, you have to read that book. Like today's example, I can give like GMAT I gave and then certificate. We understand that. Now let's understand, we sit in airplane, we buy tickets. So let's say you want to go to India, or if anyone wants to go outside US, what do? You go to internet, you research the best price or the best deal you get, you buy the ticket. While buying the ticket, did you ever think that this airline is maintaining, is the maintenance doing good? Who is the pilot? Is it young guy? Is it the old guy? Is he really having the degree of pilot? Do you ever check this? Do you ever think that plane will fly? Plane will not fly? We don't, correct? We never think like this. We just buy the ticket and we sit, we enjoy the journey, correct? What is it called? It is called educated faith, because you know thousands of times that the planes are flying. And why it is flying? Because you are being informed that these airlines have been doing it for many times. And then you have faith in that knowledge, correct? So that is exactly what Bhagavad Gita does. If you follow, it's not telling you, we have to follow the same faith, because that is the most important quality. Just like how we buy airplane ticket, we have to purchase or understand the concept of Bhagavad Gita, and we have to jump into that airplane and let the Bhagavad Gita fly us in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the most important quality, that is called Shraddha. And this Shraddha we must have in order to study Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we will not be able to understand. And how you will develop this? We will understand, because if you don't have this faith, then if you don't buy the ticket, you cannot sit in the plane, correct? So if you don't deep open or register for learning Bhagavad Gita, you will never be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. So you will never have faith, because that faith will only come through information. And how do we go through information? So we go through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, correct? So we have to follow that. In order to follow that, then only we will get understanding of real education. So if you see how Arjun did, if you see, he went to Guru, and Guru gave him the knowledge based on the Shastra of what he spoke, correct? The Bhagwan created. So that is how we need to go from our understanding of Guru Shastra. So now let's understand a little bit deeper that how it is supposed to do. So there are three branches of science. One is called natural science. Then second is called social science. And third is called formal science. Okay. Then in natural science, we call it physics, the study of universe sciences, chemistry, the study of matter, biology, the study of life and living organism. Social science, we have psychology, sociology, economics, history, geography, politics. formal science, which is mathematics, statistics, data, IT, artificial intelligence. Correct? So if you understand from all this, just by reading this, by going to university, you get these degrees. And just like we need doctor, lawyer, engineer, scientist, there is also another science, which is called spiritual science. So just like how we go and study this practically, that is how we need to study spiritual science. So just like we need doctor, lawyer, engineer, IT guy, scientist, similarly, we need spiritual guru who will guide us into this direction. So if you see all these three sciences, we have to study from childhood to come to college. And then once we study, what we do, we actually put into practice by taking a job, by doing it practically, correct? By going to job. Once you go to job, you get salary because you are going to job, you are doing practice. And in order to go to job, you are driving or you are taking mass transport. So everything, if you see, and after you get this, you want to get married, you also do that physically. Then you want to have children, you do everything physically. So you see, for everything, we are doing it practically. Then when it's spiritual science, we say, oh, Bhagwan to mere dil mein baithe hai. Bhagwan is in my heart, Paramatma. But we never do anything practically. And that is why we never get the knowledge of spirituality. So spiritual science is just like other science. We do practical and physically. We also have to do spiritual science practically. And that is why we need to attend this kind of classes or seminars or go to guru to understand. Because like how we spend from our childhood to our college time frame, we study and we don't do that for spiritual science. So that spiritual science knowledge will not come to us in just one day or just by reading Bhagavad Gita. We don't spend time. So if we spend time, then we understand what it is. So now let's understand. Today we live in the world where the trend or fashion is about less. Everything should be less. Correct? Technology is wireless. Cooking is fireless. Food is fatless. Sweets, sugarless. Friendship, baseless. Youth, jobless. Politics, shameless. Relationship, loveless. Society, godless. So because of this, our life is meaningless. And because of this fashion that we are continuing, it is really important for us to read Bhagavad Gita. And it is important because we have got this human form of life, and this is where we can ask or do Brahma Jigyasa to know the ultimate truth. So with this, I will end my presentation here or my talk, and I'll open for any questions, any comments or realization. But before that, I want to give a little disclaimer. Everything that I have shared here or I'm sharing, it is not my opinion or not my suggestions or my understanding. It is what I have heard from senior devotees and things, and I brought it in here. So please forgive me if I have said something wrong or committed mistake. With that, I'm open for any questions, comments, or realizations.
Hari Hari Bol Prabhuji, thank you so much for a very, very nectary and wonderful session, Prabhuji. It's amazing. So, Prabhuji, do you have time to take a question answer session?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
Okay. So I request to everyone, if you have any question, any realization, so feel free to raise your hand and ask to Prabhuji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. If anybody have any question or realization, yes, Anu Mataji, please unmute yourself. Unmute, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, and Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really like this interactive session, and on top, like the way you explain the introduction to Gita, it's very, very informative. The person like me, because I was getting hard time to understanding the Gita, and the way you show the slides and related to the common man, it's very, very informative. So I was really appreciate if you can continue the Gita classes, and as well as if you can share these slides, that would be really grateful, because what I realized is it's a very great way to make the points, to learn Gita, the scripture. That's my realization is, and I will really appreciate if you continue this Gita classes. That will be very beneficial for people like us who doesn't know anything. Even though read the Gita, I really don't understand anything at all, to be very honest. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So to that, Mataji, you have so many senior speakers. We can discuss with the group and see if there is a Bhakti Sastri or kind of a Bhagavad Gita course that we can do. Correct. So we'll take into consideration, and hopefully Mataji and organizing here committee will look into it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Mataji. And today morning call, Anu Mataji asked me as a private chat, Mataji, is there any class of Bhagavad Gita? So I told to her, yes, today is a session of introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. So please find. So she really need the Bhagavad Gita session. So Mataji, definitely we can consider your point. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's a very coincidence. I spoke to this morning to Mataji, and she said, yeah, it's coming this afternoon and this evening, sorry. So that was the kind of, I think, Krishna's plan. So I really appreciate if you look into this matter.
Definitely, Mataji. You get, you get soon, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhuji. Just want to let you know, I'm from Toronto. So thank you so much for giving this session. It's been very enlightenment for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anybody have any question? So please raise your hand. Okay.
I think Amit Prabhu did hand. Someone, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful interactive session. Like we have learned some of the new things, although we all know those things, but the refinement which you did through some, you can say, the vocabulary, specifically spiritual vocabulary, that is wonderful. So Prabhuji, you said that we have to hear the things directly from the God through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, sorry, Bhagavad Gita. So, but now, like, as far as my understanding, we cannot hear Bhagavad Gita from anyone. It should be from like some like guru which is following our Guru Parampara, something like that, right? So, can you please like enlighten on that also?
Yes, sure. So Prabhuji, that's a very nice question. And like Anu Mataji said, that if I read Gita, I cannot understand, correct?
Right.
So the reason I shared my thought before I said that I'll share my experience was perfectly for this, because I tried reading myself and it did not work. So the only way you can read is to be in association of devotees who are following this sadhu parampara. So it is through them and through guru on there. Okay, so it's not just necessary that you have to find guru right away. First, you go into such associations of devotee, you see how you are connecting, you see how people are preaching and how people, and there are 8 steps of selecting a guru. So you have a checklist, and we know, because through experiences, we know that today guru can cheat us. So ISKCON has already created an 8 checklist, like Prabhupada, our spiritual guru, has given that. Then if you have those 8 checklists, then you can accept him as a guru because you surrender to him. And the most important part that I learned from my experience, I was not willing to do service or not willing to do any work in the matter of spirituality, like temple service, washing plates, getting groceries, dropping devotees from one place to another, or in service. If you don't do that, your ego is not coming down.
Right.
And when your ego does not come down, knowledge will not come to you. So in order for knowledge to come to you, you have to bend down. Like I gave you an example of driving license. I gave you an example of plane flight. You bend down, correct? Because whatever flight gives you, you have to accept it.
Yeah, we completely surrender there.
Exactly. So the same way, when you surrender and you have an open mind that I want to change myself and I'm willing to learn something, when you have that open mind and you are willing to accept, because first 2 times or first 20 times, you will not be able to understand. So you don't give up. Arjun did not give up, correct? He sat through that entire time to understand Bhagavad Gita. So we also might go through that changes and we might not like, but that is why your changes in within are happening if you are doing that. And it took me 5 years to come to that conclusion. And then I started reading Bhagavad Gita, and then knowledge started coming into my brain or to my knowledge that I'm able to understand this little bit. I'm not saying that I know everything because it's a very huge scripture, but I'm in a baby step. But at least I'm at that level to understand that. So for me, this helped me. And I heard from all the gurus when I went to temple and I said, I want to learn and I want to read Bhagavad Gita and I want to understand the class. My not guru, but I would say like my mentor at that time told me, you don't need to sit in class. Go, there is help needed out creating tents for Janmashtami. Go get these plates. Go. He just put me into service because he realized that I was arrogant. I was having ego. I'm a fashion designer. I've been across. So he knew that. And so the knowledge would not come into me because I was not ready to accept knowledge because my material knowledge of wealth and material education was coming in my way. So the only way that knowledge would come was to break that. And once I started doing service, I was never sitting in classes. Then the service, after 2-3 years of service, I went to classes and then I was able to connect immediately. Then he never came and told me, Sanjeev, you need. He figured out someone else to do the service. Then he brought me that now you get into this and you just listen. So it took 7 years of listening. And because after that 7 years, I am now able to speak little bit through my mentor giving me light that, okay, go. Now you're able to share your experience. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. And you are very wonderful speaker, Prabhuji. It's a lot to mean to us. Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji. I got it.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Barsana Rani Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Barsana Rani, yes.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, wonderful class. And step by step, you whole session for the Bhagavad Gita introduction. You explain very wonderfully. And like you explain how the human and animal has a difference, like fourth thing is the same, like sleeping, eating, mating, and defending. And what is the higher in the higher than the animal we have is we can try to understand the absolute truth if we willing to want to understand, So that's our desire to find that, and our desire to hear about the Krishnas and our desire to understand the Supreme Lord. We have to hear from the spiritual master, and we have to read the scripture, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and what is authorized our spiritual masters, and they write the books, So, and hearing the Krishna's activities and Leela, we understand who is the Krishna and what is his activity, So through his activity, we understand the Krishna more, So wonderfully you explain step by step from every chapter something, So that's very nice, we enjoy the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it's same thing like that, Mataji. What happens is if you see any movie or any history, if you see they give, there are warriors in old time, correct? Like leaders. And what happens? They give an amazing speech. Steve Jobs gave an amazing speech. What happened to him? He died. So if you see any hero, any right person, they are all dead. But what happened to Arjun? Bhagavad Gita makes him immortal. Arjun is known as Nar Narayan. So he is Nar and Narayan is Krishna himself. So if you understand Bhagavad Gita, I told you, correct? You will be out free. The result is you are free from this body. Means you will become immortal. Not like this material education that you give speech and you die.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions, Mataji? I can take questions, no problem. I have time.
Yes, Guruji. Anyone have any question? Please raise your hand. Hina Mataji or any other Matajis or Prabhujis have any question, just feel free to raise your hand. Ilasma iPhone, Mataji, you want to say something? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just briefly, I wanted to, I was always curious about one thing that we are very, Pranam Prabhuji, first of all, and dear devotees, Hare Krishna, that we are very honored to be Indians and Hindus, and this book, Bhagavad Gita, is basically from that as well. I know it's a worldwide book for everyone and everything, but we can one day maybe be more Krishna conscious and more aware because we are we know these words, or we know the Hindus believe in this Gita. But what about all the other human beings? I mean, they are classified as different types of people. They're all still human beings, but they're not. They're Christians, they're Muslims, they're this and that. What about them? I mean, how does that come into the whole universal thing? I don't understand. I feel like today I'm lucky or honored, even though I don't understand much of this, but I've read a lot of this Bhagavad Gita, but I don't understand every single thing about it. But I'm very honored that I get this chance from Krishna that, something good is happening in my life. But what about all these other people? Because I still care about what's going to happen to them as well.
Yes, Mataji, I'll answer you. Have you ever sit in an aeroplane?
Yes.
Okay. So when you board the plane and you sit and the plane is about to take off, do you know air hostess runs couple of actions?
Yes.
Procedure. So what they tell when the oxygen mask is going to fall, that if there is a turbulence or the plane cannot fly, correct, and there is the oxygen mask will come.
Right. That we need to put our mask on first before we put it on our children.
Exactly. So you understand your answer? You first try to understand Gita for yourself.
I do understand.
If you understand, then you will pass this knowledge to your people that you are concerned with.
Okay.
Agreed? So that's one. Yes. Second one, I'll tell you second answer. Most people in India nowadays do not follow Gita, but we have a lot of Western world Muslims and in Bangladesh and everyone, they are following Krishna consciousness. And it is not just about these people. So these people who have understood Bhagavad Gita, like Radhanath Swami Maharaj and all these people, they are not just spreading it to Indians, they are spreading it to Western world also. Like myself, I am also spreading. I'm also giving classes in university. Okay. So everyone is getting, but the concept is don't worry about them. First, you take care of yourself.
Okay. All right.
Then you are see what Arjun went through. Arjun, what did he say? If I kill them, they will all die. So he was thinking what will happen to their wives.
Yes.
What did Krishna say? That's not your problem. You first understand what is your problem, that you are not this body. Every question or comment you give is related to body, but it is nothing to do with body. You are the soul. First, clear that doubt. So everyone who is going to benefit or not benefit, they are not going to die because soul is eternal. Body is going to die. It will recycle. It will take another body based on the activities that they do.
Yes.
Does that answer?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm a little bit, Prabhuji. Yeah, chapter 1 Bhagavad Gita, Arjun has that's all the he's asking about verse number from 36 to 42. Okay, what about the happen behind those warriors gonna be die, soldiers? Then what gonna happen with their wives and children, and everything gonna be kulastriya and everything gonna be who gonna protect them, who gonna take care of them, and they're gonna be misused, and all the whole society gonna be spoiled, and Varna Sankara Praja gonna be born, and whole society gonna be corrupt, So all that he's worried, like you explained right now in the first chapter of 36 to 42. Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So Prabhuji, as of now, there is no more hand raised. So if
Okay,
you
ma'am.
allow, can we wind
Yes.
up our call here?
Yes, madam.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for a very, very nectarian and an interaction session, Prabhuji. Vancha kaltarubhasya kapa sindhu bhaivacha patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnav Vrind की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, His Grace संजीव प्रभु जी की जय, सभी भक्तों की जय.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, once again. Hare Krishna.